Hello there, Digital Citizenship, and welcome back. Today is May 12th, 2020, and we're going to continue on with navigating digital information today. Our objective is to learn criteria helpful in evaluating the reliability of news sources. We have 3 things today. Hopefully, by now, you've already reviewed the vocabulary you wrote during last class. That will help you to know what's happening during this class. In just a second, we're going to review the facts about fact-checking. You watched John Green's video last week. And then finally, you're going to watch another news clip. This one's a bit shorter. It's about 5 minutes. And it's called How to Choose Your News. And that's a TED Ed video. In case you missed the vocabulary from last week, you can open up Thursday's lesson and look at the vocabulary. Make sure you write that down so you have that information available to you. All right, just a little bit of review. The facts about fact-checking with John Green. So one of the questions that I asked you is, what is one opinion that John Green shares in the video that is biased? And in order to answer that question, you had to know what the word biased meant. So you should have, if you didn't already know, should have gone back to your vocabulary. And we can see here that bias is showing a strong opinion or preference for or against something or someone. And here's the important part, usually because it benefits them in some way. So I asked you, what did John Green say that was biased? And one of the things, he said a couple of things, but one of the things that he said is reading The Fault in Our Stars will make your life better, clear your skin, and improve your wardrobe. Now, of course, you know he was only kidding, but we know that if more people read The Fault in Our Stars, because John Green wrote that, the better off he will be. It will benefit him in some way because that's how he makes his living, by writing books. So the more books that you read that he wrote, the more money he will make. So that is definitely a biased opinion. All right, he said several times, better information leads to better decision making. That's very important. It's always good to have good information. We don't want to be spreading falsehoods. Professional fact checkers are people who work with news organizations to verify facts, and they make sure that the information is accurate and up to date. 3 questions that fact checkers use to evaluate websites are: 1, who is behind the information and why are they sharing it? 2, what is the evidence for their claims? And 3, what do other sources say? So another statement that John Green made, I think teenagers should read contemporary fiction, specifically contemporary fiction written by me. Okay, so that's definitely an opinion statement. Whether or not, there are studies proven that say reading contemporary fiction is good for you. This is definitely an opinion because it starts off with I think, and then he says he wants you to read the fiction that he has written. That includes a bias because obviously he's going to benefit from that. Ask yourself when you're reading something, is the evidence that that whoever it is who wrote the article, is the evidence they present fact or opinion? So fact, an example of a fact, reading is a useful skill. That is a proven fact. An opinion, reading The Fault in Your Stars will make your life better, clear your skin, and improve your wardrobe. And we've already talked about that is actually a biased opinion. You should ask yourself, did they back up their claim with evidence? And is the evidence from a reliable source? And Green says a couple of reliable sources include trusted news organizations or an expert in the field. The absence of evidence is cause for you to be skeptical about a claim until you can verify it. So if someone just makes a claim and they have no expert evidence, they don't have anybody else saying it, you should be skeptical or you should be questioning it until you can verify it by looking at other sources. So John Green also points out, and this is pretty important, that there's a difference between being skeptical and being cynical. And the word cynical is much more negative. You just always distrust everything and everyone. You're just basically not a very happy person. But to be skeptical, you're not easily convinced, which means basically you're not gullible. You don't just believe the first thing you hear. So when you hear something, especially if it plays on your emotions, um, or you really want to share it or you really believe it, you should make sure that you check that out. A healthy dose of skepticism improves our critical thinking and our judgment, and it also helps us to not spread news that isn't true. Check multiple sources to see what other information is out there. You can use a search engine or a reputable website. This is really important because if you're finding something in the news and you want to share it, and there's only one person reporting it or one news source reporting it, and especially if you've never heard of that news source before, so it's not from whatever news that you usually hear, like the New York Times or the Washington Post or Associated Press or something like that. If nobody else is reporting it, that's a good time to be skeptical, and you should be checking out other sites and maybe even using Snopes or PolitiFact to check and see if it's actually a scam. Another good point, the more you practice fact checking, the better you will be at it. Practice, 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 and that goes for anything. So now, this is the end of my instructional video. You're going to go ahead and watch How to Choose Your News. It's a TED Ed video. You have a form to fill out, and you'll click on the link to complete your viewing guide. So here we are in Schoology. We're on May 12th, 2020. How to Choose Your News by TED Ed. Obviously, you've already been in here if you're watching this instructional video. Hopefully, you've already done number 1. You've reviewed the vocabulary you wrote in your notes last class. Right now, you should be watching my instructional video. And then once you're done with that, you're going to go ahead and click on the link for How to Choose Your News. And as you're watching, or you can do it after, remember with these videos, you can play them over again or back them up or pause them so you can make sure that you get all the information you need from them. Here's your viewing guide, and that's what you need to submit for today. Next time, we'll actually be looking at a few news stories, and you're going to try to decide which ones are real and which ones are fake. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful week, and if you have any questions, please feel free to message me, and that's it.